Hello and welcome to New Earth Lifestyles. I'm JaneE King. Welcome. February 5th, 2015, downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Snow all over the place. We had some nice winter storms in the past week, filling us up with wonderful, fluffy, white winter wonderland snow. It's not the greatest to walk around in, especially in the city where the sidewalks are not the best, but we are in New Hampshire, so welcome. Glad you could join us today. Today I will be talking to you about a few lovely things. First of all, I'm going to give you a healing protocol called a prayer board healing, which is about distant healing, and I'm going to teach a little bit about that. And then I'm also going to talk about the full moon, and I have a couple books here to share with you, The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz and PSYCH-K by Ron Williams, and I'll also be talking about The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, which kind of ties into the PSYCH-K information that I wanted to talk to you about. And so this show is about giving you an opportunity to look at life from a different perspective, and precisely these subjects that I'll be talking about today are geared toward that and to support you in looking at your life and our belief systems, the Western world, just looking at it through maybe a grain of salt or through a looking glass or through a kaleidoscope, and realizing that it can always change, and in fact it is always changing whenever we turn around. Even for my life, I might talk about some of my personal experiences of completion that are happening for me in 2015. If you add 2 and the 5, you get 8. And 8 is a number, it's the number for infinity, right? If you lay it on the side. And 8 means in numerology that this is a year of completions, completing things. And I had a completion thing happened over the weekend that I didn't realize was happening, but when it all came about and I'm sitting with it today, I'm really realizing, well, this is a completion, I guess, process for me that I wasn't aware of being in the middle of, pardon me, in the past, but yet here it showed up for me, and I might talk about that a little bit today as well. So I have a lot in store for you, a lot of good things to talk about. My guest that was going to be on the show today, Ingrid Dinter, is not feeling well today, so I'm going to send a shout out of health and wholeness and happiness to Ingrid. I hope that all gets better for you. I know this is a time of year in February where a lot of colds and flus and things come up for us, so I'm sending out good, healthy, happy vibes to you, Ingrid. So maybe we can get Ingrid rescheduled for another time. And thank you to Manchester Public TV, manchestertv.org, for this lovely studio, and thank you to John Eric O'Neill for setting me up today. I'll give a little mindfulness bell to that. The bell of mindfulness is my friend here that's been with me throughout my shows, throughout the time that I've been on the air. This is my 7-metal singing bowl, and 2015 I've renamed it to the Bell of Mindfulness. So when you hear the bell, that's an opportunity to come back into alignment with who you are. Take a deep breath and realize that this moment now is the only moment we have. The past is gone, the future isn't here. And I might talk a little bit about that today in regards to beliefs and the biology of belief and what that means in the past and the present and the future. So thank you for joining me today. It's a lovely day. Even though it's full of snow and windy, it's still a lovely day in the neighborhood, right? As Mr. Rogers used to say, it's a lovely day in the neighborhood. And I thought I'd also just touch on this lovely drink that I drink here. I'll put it in front here for you to look at, but it's called this is raw coconut water. Comes raw right out of the coconut. It comes from Thailand, and it comes in this nice little bottle. I get it at the health food store, and it's really, really healthy. There's nothing in it but raw coconut water. and it has this amazing flavor that I never thought I would like coconut water because I really don't like coconut, the white stuff inside. But when I got this and tried it, it's like drinking heaven. That's what it's like for me when I drink this. It's just got this amazing flavor. So you either probably love it or you don't, but I happen to have fallen in love with it. So I thought I'd just mention that. 100% raw coconut water. And I know A Market has a different brand than this, but here in Manchester, New Hampshire, the health food store does carry a raw coconut oil. In fact, they actually had a whole coconut that you could get the raw milk right out of. And it's very healthy for you. And in fact, I believe it helps with diabetes and many, many, many of the ailments that are plaguing our society today. Next up, prayer boards. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a program I have coming up on Saturday, but I thought I would actually demonstrate a little bit about what's called Ancient Prayer Board Distant Healing. Ancient Prayer Board Distant Healing. This information, this technique is in a book that I read by a Cherokee healer. And I was not able to come up with the book, but anyway, sorry, I referenced it on the bottom of my page. American Indian Secrets of Crystal Healing by Luke Burgalt. That is the reference to where I got this information on ancient prayer board healings, and I'm going to be teaching this in a class on Saturday morning, this Saturday, February 7th, but I know most of the people watching the show won't be able to get to that. So I wanted to share it today because we all have the ability to heal and to help others heal, and this ancient prayer board distant healing is about helping someone else, is about healing or helping someone else become more healthy. And so the pieces that you would need to do this prayer board healing is, number one, I have a picture of my sister here, but number one, you'd have a picture of someone. Number two, so you'd have a picture of a person that you want to heal. So I'm going to heal my sister. You would then have a crystal, a quartz crystal. It's this clear quartz crystal. So, there you go. That's a clear quartz crystal. Actually, it might look better over there. But anyway, so you have a clear quartz crystal. And then the third thing you'd have is a box, a square box like so, a square box. So if you see, I've painted the sides of this box. You don't really have to paint it, but it wants to be a square box. And so those are the things that you would need. And so let me talk about each one of them. So this picture, I will talk about what that means. So this is called a witness of the person to be healed. And so you can use a photograph, or if you have something written, like a letter that they've written to you, you can use their handwriting, or if you have a locket of their hair, or something tangible that comes from that person, so either a photograph or a locket of hair or something physical from them, or their writing or their signature on something. And this is called the witness. So number one, you would have a witness. And number two, you would have this quartz crystal. And what we're going to do with this quartz crystal is we're going to call it programming. We're going to program this crystal. Now, when you think about quartz crystals are what makes your timepiece, your watches run, right, and your clocks run. Quartz is a powerful source of energy, quartz crystals. And this one is one that I happen to use specifically for my prayer board healings. It doesn't have to be this large, or it can be larger, it can be smaller or larger, something that fits comfortably over your witness, over your picture or your writing or your lock of hair or whatever you have for your person to be healed. And so you have a quartz crystal. And this process works. We're going to do this process for seven continuous consecutive days. Well, actually, they don't have to be consecutive, but they have to be 7 days. So I suppose you could spread this out throughout a month or throughout a couple of weeks. So if you haven't got time to do it every day, you would want to do it. You have to do it 7 times, I guess is the best way to put it. So this prayer board healing process, you would do 7 times, so it would become complete after the 7th time. And so each time that you do that, you will reprogram your crystal. And to program your crystal, you will put it in the palm of your hand, okay? And you're going to think and imbue this crystal with what it is that you're asking it to do, what it is that you want this crystal to do. You want this crystal to be the healing mechanism for this person that you're healing. And as you think that and hold this crystal, I have it in the palm of my hand, both hands, in between my hands, and also I put it to my heart so that it gets the energy of my heart. And that energy is the healing energy of my heart, is really the vibration of what the healing is that I want to accomplish. And so as I'm holding this to my heart, I'm thinking thoughts of my desire for helping this person to overcome or actually I'm seeing this person as fully healed, fully healthy, and fully vibrant in all ways. I'm seeing this person fully healthy, fully vibrant, and happy and strong in all ways. And that image that I have of this person and that awareness and that longing and that thought process and the feeling that's coming from my heart at the same time is all being imbued through my heart, out my arms, into my hand, into this crystal. So I'm programming this crystal to tell this crystal what I'm asking it to do. That's what they mean by programming it. Many people consider stones as people, as beings, as vibration. As they are vibration. They actually are also called the bones of the earth, if you will. They're very hard, but they have been here for millennia, for many, 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 many hundreds of thousands and millions of years, and they actually hold the memory of the earth's, everything that's happened on the earth. And so by programming it in this way, I'm asking this crystal to focus only on this that I'm asking it to do. So I'm programming this crystal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow into this crystal 3 times. And when I blow into it, that energy of blowing into it is really amplifying to the crystal my desires and what I'm asking it to do for the next 7 days of this healing. Well, actually, no, just for the 1 day, for the next day or the next period of time until I reprogram it. I'm clearing it, I'm cleaning it by doing this and programming it and asking it to only focus on the healing of this person. And then I'm going to blow into it. I'm going to open my hands and go hold it on my heart. Know that it is done. It is done. It is done. This crystal is now programmed with the intention of healing this person, which is my sister. This is an old picture of my oldest sister, Carol. And I have programmed my crystal now. My crystal knows what its job is. And as I continue the process now, the next step, I actually just realized that I forgot one important piece, but I will imagine doing that for you, and that is salt. I forgot to bring my sea salt because I need to draw a circle of sea salt around. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my witness in the center of my box. And I'm going to lean it down here like that. And I'm going to just set that here for now. And now I've programmed my crystal. And then I'm going to say a prayer. And the prayer is, I call here now the powers and spirits of the 4 directions to come help, cure, and shield this action. This action is what I'm doing, this healing process, and the shield signifies protection. It's shielding this so that it can be cocooned in your intention for healing for this person. So I call here now the powers and spirits of the 4 directions, east, south, west, and north, the 4 directions, to come and help, cure, and shield this action. Then I would, I forgot the sea salt, as I said. I would make a circle of sea salt around the picture, So that sea salt would go all, this would be sitting up here more, and I would have a circle of sea salt all the way around the picture. Okay? At this point, I would sprinkle that and do it in a ceremonial way, in a heart-centered way. Okay, so I'd make my circle of salt around my witness, and then with my healing intentions, I have cleared my crystal and reprogrammed it, and I'll place the crystal on top of the witness. Now, how you place it there is based on your beliefs and how you want to do this. I would place it right directly on top and a way that it would sit, like so. Right on top of the person. Actually, if it would be flat on the floor or on a table, so it would sit probably more right on the center of the person's picture, like that. And so there we have that, and the circle of salt would be around there. And so there we have it. It's all set up, ready to go. So you'd place the crystal on top of the witness, and if you're able to, as you place the crystal on top of your witness, if you can visualize that person in your mind's eye, visualize them happy and strong. Maybe you can remember a day or a time when they were so vibrant and so healthy and really, really invigorated and healthy. If you can picture them in your mind as you're placing the crystal on top of the witness and their picture, or their signature, or a locket of their hair, or something personal of theirs, if you can visualize them in your mind as being healthy and strong and whole, not wishing it to be so, not hoping it would be so, but actually seeing them healthy and strong. So you visualize that as you place the crystal on them, and that's called localizing them into the prayer board, into the box. And direct the point of the crystal towards them while you're doing that. So you could hold them, visualize them, point the crystal toward them, and sort of you'd make that energetic connection that's happening now. This is for you. You are healthy and whole and strong now. So that's what a prayer board would look like. Now you would leave this out somewhere in a sacred place in your apartment, in your home, on a table somewhere. You'd set up the table beforehand, and you'd leave it flat with everything in place. And so you do this for 7 days. So what would happen, it has to happen within a 30-day or 28-day moon cycle, the 7 days. So whenever you come to the next day that you want to do this, you would take the crystal, you would reprogram it, just as we did the first time. You would, now the picture and the salt all remain in place. It's the reprogramming of the crystal that's the important part. So you would reprogram the crystal in the way that we did to begin with. You'd say the prayer again, calling in the powers and the spirits, and you would renew that. You could also localize that person again with the crystal, with calling them in, seeing them in your mind's eye, pointing the crystal toward them, helping the crystal to remember that this is what it's here for. It's powerful being here to heal that person. And then you would place it on the second day in the same way, back on the person the same way. And so you would do that reprogramming of the crystal of the first day, the second day, all the way to the 7th day. And those 7 days need to be within a bracket of 28 one moon cycle, you could say, 28 days of what a moon cycle is. So that's what they call ancient prayer board healing. I hope you can use this at home if you have a loved one or someone that you are wanting to help heal. The key is to see them already healed, to see them already whole. And this is a typical way that Qigong works in the Chinese traditions. This is how the hospitals in China, not necessarily with the prayer board, but with visualizing and seeing the person they're working on as whole, healthy, completely healed, as they were originally before anything had happened to them. And so when you do that, you've done the 7 days throughout the month. Then at the end of the 7 days, at the end of your healing process, you would then remove the crystal. Let's see. So after the 7th day, you would wait 24 hours leave it as is, 7 days for like the next 24-hour period. You would then remove the crystal and dispose of the sea salt by burying it in the ground. That would be the best way to do that. So again, this is an ancient prayer board, distant healing, and hope you learned a little bit. If you have any questions on that, please do feel free to call me right now at 413-0223 in New Hampshire, 603 area code, or you can email me at home at my home office on the number on the screen. Call me at the number on the screen at my home office, or get my email on my website, which is also on your screen. If you want to talk more about this or learn more about this, or if there's any questions that you have, I'll be very happy to give you more information and answer any questions you have about prayer board distant healing. So this is called distant healing. And this all works with intention, with heart, with care, with vibration, with belief. You're believing this is happening. You are believing it. Now, you probably also want to get permission from the person that you will be working with to be sure that they understand this and that they're okay with it. Getting permission is very important in all aspects of healing. Many times, as a healer, we will connect in on the ethers, on the energetic plane, on the spiritual plane with a person and ask their soul if they want to do this. So I think I have a caller coming in, so let me see what you have to say. Hold on, please. Okay. Okay. Are you on the air?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk with Jane.
This is JaneE. How are you? Who am I talking with?
Hi, Jane. How are you? Yeah, I just wanted to, I watched the program last week.
Yep.
And you had the lady on talking about arthritis.
Right.
And how you can heal that. And then I called and left you a message regarding the goat's lotion that they sell at the LeBlanc's hardware store over on Haywood Street, Haywood and Wilson Street.
Yes, I did. Thank you for telling me that.
They have the goat lotion.
Right.
That takes away arthritis, and I just was wondering if you've checked it out or have you been there yet?
I called over there and I got the full name. It's the old two old men goat lotion, two old goats.
Yeah.
Yes, I called them. I was going to stop over one of these days in between coming here, and haven't stopped there yet. But thank you for that. And your name is?
I'm Richard, and when I was in there and I asked them about it, and they said it works great. They said they've had great results for people who use it.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
When I watched your program, I figured, well, you might want to check into that.
Uh-huh.
You know, who knows? Maybe you could sell it out of your office that you have.
Right, that's
up
true.
There in, up in wherever that is, your studio.
In New London, yes. Well, thank you, Richard, for that information. I appreciate that, and I did mention it last week.
I'm watching your program now. I watch you weekly. I think you talk about a lot of good things. So.
All right, thank you.
Other than that, keep up the good work.
Okay, Richard, thank you for calling. Thanks for your information. Bye. Yes, I did mention the two old goats salve or lotion that they sell at Haywood's LeBlanc's Hardware over on Haywood Street. I did mention that last week, Richard, but I'll mention it again today. I haven't really used it myself because I don't have arthritis, but I am curious about what other things it does work for. As you said, it works for other things other than arthritis, but that's always good to know, especially right here in our own backyard. And I did call over and talk to them at LeBlanc's too. They have 3 different sizes and sounded very reasonably priced. And I do have to get over there to try it out. So thanks for that call. And so, this is the Ancient Prayer Board Distant Healing that we just completed. And thank you. Let's have a gong on that. Thank you, Richard. Center, ground, come back to center. Where is center? Right here in the middle of your body, centered. Okay. And I was talking earlier about 2015 being a year of completion, and I had something happen to me over the weekend in some personal interaction that I had that I didn't realize at the time was coming up for me to have closure, completion at an activity that I do. And it was a wake-up call for me to notice and to pay attention, and plus to be okay with completion, to be okay with a cycle that's ending. And it may not be a totally 100% ending, but it's I'm backing off from an activity now that I was doing that it came to my attention it came out of me. It kind of, so some words came out of me to this other person or this other group. These words came out of me and that I didn't have in my conscious awareness. They came from my subconscious mind. But that it obviously were things that I was thinking about and was connected in with my belief system. And that's what I'm going to talk about next, is our beliefs and how strongly our beliefs dictate and control our lives. And so this thing that happened to me over the weekend was a personal interaction that is now, I'm realizing, bringing completion for me with that group, group of relationships. And not that I'm not going to care about them or think about them or even see them once in a while, but I'm not going to be as deeply involved in that as I was. So I'm kind of pulling myself away and completing that whole cycle. And here we go. So this is 2015, the year of completion, and I am coming to a completion on one thing already, and it's only the 1st of February. So be aware of your life and things that are coming into completion, and see if you can be okay with them. See if you can just realize that it's okay. It doesn't have to keep on going the way it used to be. It doesn't have to. And this is where I am right now in this moment, coming to a completion. And so the next thing I was going to talk about is the 4 agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz, I've talked about him in this book on the show every now and then from time to time. And so I brought the book with me today. It's right here. And it's called The 4 Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a very small book, short. It's not a very big book. Look at how skinny it is. And it's one of the books that I have by my bedstand every night. If I need something positive to read, I certainly pull that up and look at it. And so what are the 4 agreements? And who is Don Miguel Ruiz? Well, Don Miguel Ruiz is a Don Miguel Ruiz is a Toltec shaman from Mexico. And the tradition that he is talking about in this book is a practical guide to personal freedom. And whoa, don't we all want personal freedom in this world? Of course. I certainly do. Personal freedom is a good thing. So a practical guide to personal freedom. And what I wanted to do is just quickly read the 4 agreements. It's really a book that's worth reading. If you can get it in the library, that would be great. The used booksellers online, you can get it for $2 or $3 plus shipping. Or go to your local bookstore and have them order it for you. It's an excellent book that I continually reference. And why do I continually reference it? Because I have beliefs that I have not been able to overcome, I guess, or change in a way that I want it to change. And so here are the 4 agreements. The agreement number 1. And these all sound very logical, but really reading what he talks about, how he talks about it, and how it works in our Western world psychology, and how we can change that, and based on this book, really helps me and could help you to understand more about what this book, how valuable this book can be for you, and what these mean. I mean, when you hear them, they make a lot of sense. Like the first one is, be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word. So speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Avoid using the word, your speech, to speak against yourself, number 1, and others, gossiping about others, number 2. Gossip has no place in the world. Gossip is wasted energy. It only does harm. So think about your speech. Think about your word. Your word is your speech, what you are saying. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Truth and love. Now, your truth may be different than another person's truth. However, being impeccable with your word by coming from your truth and love in your heart, that's the best thing that we can ask for. That's the only way you can do it. It has nothing to do with anyone else's heart or anyone else's truth. Your truth, coming from your truth. And then you will know that if there are any complications or any ramifications over what you said, if you're coming from your truth and from love, that's the best you can do. And if someone has a problem with that, then they have a problem with themselves, not with you. Okay, and the next agreement. This is the one I work on a lot, but I've used this one a lot too. Don't take anything personally. Take no thing personally. What does that mean? Nothing others do is because of you. Nothing that I do is because of you. Nothing you do is because of me. It's my stuff. So what others say and do is a projection of their own reality. What others say and do is a projection, sending it over there, of their own reality, their own dream. So in this book, he talks a lot about the dream, and from the Toltec shamanic perspective, what that means. This is the dream. We're living the dream. The physical world he considers a dream, and the altered, unseen world is really where reality resides. That's where the universal truths are. So what others say and do is a projection of your reality. And what others say and do is a projection, of their own reality, their own dream. So this is my dream. The world that you're looking at is your dream. And we are immune to the opinions, when we are immune. So when we are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Wow. You don't want to be the victim of needless suffering, do you? Of course not. So when you take no thing personally, you will not be the victim of other people's ideas and thoughts, because they will not bother you, because they aren't about you. Truthfully, they are not about you. Okay, here's number 3. Don't make assumptions. Make no assumptions. Do not assume. And I don't know if you've ever seen that little saying of they break up. Assume is ASSUME. Okay, that says it all. Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. That's the really hard one for me, because communication, especially in relationship to someone you care about, for me is really, really a hard place for me. And so this one was one for me to really pay attention to. However, I find that I'm not paying as much attention to it as I should, or as I would like to, because I'm afraid of communication. I've talked to you a lot about my own fears and about my introversion and my, being a little introverted, shy person all my life. Well, this don't make assumptions and communication part of my life is where I'm really still struggling, and where I am still working on and honing in and trying to do better at a lot, all the time, in fact, because communication, being a shy person, I didn't really learn to communicate that well as a child or growing up. And then when I did, I was usually reprimanded. So don't make assumptions, and find the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. That's difficult for me, but I'm working on it. So express what you really want. So communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. Wow, how much drama do we want in our lives? Drama is just drama. It's not helping anything. So communicate with others as clearly as you can, to avoid misunderstandings, to avoid sadness. How much of it we want to avoid sadness, right? Because we're about happy. We're about happy here on New Earth Lifestyles. So you want to avoid sadness and you want to avoid drama. With just this one agreement, so if you just use this agreement, you can completely transform your life. completely transform your life. I'm still working on this agreement, so I have a lot of transformation still to do. Don't make assumptions. Speak, communicate. The fourth agreement, this is a no-brainer. Always do your best. Always do your best. But we don't always do our best, do we? We try hard, but we have these beliefs, we have these knee-jerk reactions, we have these things that we can't control that keep us from doing our best sometimes because we're afraid. From me, my perspective, because a fear may well up in me, a fear of something wells up in me. I don't know what it's all about, but it makes me act in a way that I wish I hadn't. It makes me say words that I wish I hadn't. It makes me do things that I wish I hadn't done. And so always do your best. I'm doing my best. However, there are those suppressed subconscious defense mechanisms that kick up every now and then and make me put my foot in my mouth or make me stub my toe or make me do something that is not what I would consider my best. It is in the moment still my best, but I always think I can do better. So your best is going to change from moment to moment, which I just talked about, and it will be different when you're healthy as opposed to when you're sick. So doing your best can change. It changes from moment to moment. So doing your best when you're healthy or doing your best when you're not feeling so well, you're still doing your best, okay? And under any circumstances, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, which is really our worst enemy, right? Our self is our worst enemy. So under any circumstances, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Wow. Well, those are the three big things that we don't want any part of, that we do put on ourselves day after day, aren't they, with our relationships? I know in my life, that's what I'm talking about, is I'm always looking at myself and judging myself, and that is self-abuse. And I do regret lots of times things that I've done in the past. So if you can do those four things, to keep those four agreements in the back of your mind every day and start practicing. For me, I practice the one, don't take anything personally. That's the one I practice the most. But I do need to start working on the others. So here they are. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And always do your best. There they are, the four agreements. And when you get into the depths of how he describes them from the Toltec shamanic point of view, it makes so much sense. Always do your best. Always don't make assumptions. Take nothing personally and be impeccable with your word. There you go. Yeehaw. And that brings us to beliefs. Because all of those four agreements, if we can do those four agreements, they'll be bucking up against our beliefs. They could be bucking up against our ingrained subconscious beliefs. Beliefs that were given to us from the time we were conceived until now, and given to us in our developmental years, the first 6 or 7 years of our lives. Our brain and our consciousness and our mind is like a sponge, and that sponge is just taking in, learning how to be safe in the world, how to behave in the world, how to live in this physical world, in the family dynamic or the dynamic of relationship that you're in from the first 7 years of your life. And so that's the period of time that your beliefs are really ingrained in you, deep inside your subconscious mind. You can learn it by activity, like touching a flame, for instance. If you're picture yourself as a baby, an infant crawling on the floor, and someone has left a flame there. I mean, that's not something we normally do, but what if this child creeps over to this flame, and curiosity never saw a fire before, so it reaches over and it touches the flame. Ow! Ow! Well, that had just started the creation of a belief around fire being dangerous or fire hurting. That hurts. So all the life experiences that we have as a baby, as a child, as a in utero, all the way up to maybe about 7 years of age, which is the age of what do they call it? Differentiation. I'm not really sure what they call that, but anyway, that is the period of time when all of these beliefs get attracted to us like a sponge. We don't have any choices over them. They're there. They're life situations, life experiences that we have in our environment and how we're treated as a child. And they get stuffed into and put and banked or what do you call it? They get put into our subconscious mind anyway. Our subconscious mind is the part of our mind that is in control of our physical body all the time. We don't think about it. We don't think about how I'm moving, or we don't think about beating the heart. We don't think about the blood pumping through the system. We don't think about digestion. Those are physical activities that are controlled by the subconscious. The subconscious, and it's also known as the what part of the nervous system? The autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system, you can almost consider, is the basis of the subconscious mind. It's not conscious. It's not right here. It's not right in front of me. It's deep inside, deep inside. And how is it that we are reacting from those places? Well, that's what's happening in the first 7 years, where it all gets banked and put into the recesses of our subconscious mind, and we don't even necessarily know about it. And that's why these 4 agreements are so important for me anyway, to pay attention to, because they call attention to those beliefs that I don't want anymore, that are erroneous beliefs that keep me acting out in a way that is not healthy for me, keeps me in self-judgment, keeps me in regret. And when we get in touch with those beliefs and find a process for releasing them, dispelling them, dissolving them out of our subconscious mind, then we will be so much happier. Not only will we be happier, we'll be healthier physically, physiologically, because a lot of these beliefs are what holds illness in our body. And how can that be? So my next book that I'm going to show to you is this one. It's called PSYCH-K. And I guess if you can't see it there, I'll show it up here. PSYCH-K, the missing piece, P-E-A-C-E, in your life. And this is by Robert M. Williams, or Rob Williams. And I wanted to just touch on the foreword in this book, written by Dr. Bruce Lipton, who is a cellular biologist. And this thing that I'm going to read is about genetics and genes and how we think, how our society has been trained to believe that our genes are the cause of a lot of our illnesses and a lot of our things in our lives, where Bruce Lipton, the cell biologist, has been studying this all of his life, has come to realize it's not the genes. It is not the genes that are controlling our lives. So let me just read this part of this forward. So I'll give you the bad news first and then the good news from Bruce's perspective. So the perspective that the perception, that's the big word too, perception. I want to go back, I'll back up just a tad for a minute. I guess I need to do a mindfulness bell. Perception. Let's start with perception and how that ties into beliefs. Perception, what you perceive. You look out there and you perceive your world. Perception controls behavior. You see something, it makes you behave one way. Perception controls genes. Perception, what we see, controls our genes. Now, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, so just listen to that. I know that sounds a little off. Perception, what you see out there, rewrites genes. Now, that's a new concept. Perception rewrites behavior. So perception, what we perceive, and I've talked about this before, and that is what we put our attention on. Where is your attention? what are you thinking about, what are you dwelling on in your mind, becomes your biology, becomes your illness or your happiness, your health, your joy. Perception controls behavior. Perception controls genes. Perception rewrites genes, and perception rewrites behavior. So genetics and behavior and what you're perceiving is the key here. And so the perception that our lives are controlled by our genes is so fundamental in our civilization that this dogma is incorporated into the most elemental level of a child's education. The genes control life, in quotes, quote, the genes control life, end quote, message is continuously repeated through every level of higher education, from grade school up through graduate and right into medical school. The general public has been conditioned to believe that the human body represents an exquisite, genetically controlled automation. In the support of this belief that genes control life, we attribute our abilities and, more importantly, our disabilities to the character of our inherited gene code. Since genes apparently control the traits of an individual's life, and since we had no say in which genes we were provided with at conception, we didn't have any choice, did we? We might rightly consider ourselves as victims of heredity. This is what we have been taught. We are victims of heredity. We've been programmed to accept that we are subservient to the power of our genes in creating the experience of our lives. The world is filled with people who are in constant fear that on some unsuspecting day their genes are going to turn on them. Consider the masses of people who perceive their genes as a ticking time bomb. That's what they're teaching everywhere. The genes are a ticking time bomb, waiting for some disease to come pop out of their genes, and millions of other attributes are of failing health. So the current mainstream scientific dogma insists that we are recipients of hand-me-down genetic codes that we are apparently unable to change. Consequently, we find ourselves not only victims of heredity, but powerless with regard to their ability to reprogram our fate. In assuming the role of powerless victims, we may rightfully deny the responsibility of our ill health, both physical and mental. So it gives us the opportunity to deny our own responsibility toward our own health. It disempowers us to give our power away. Unfortunately, this denial results in a tremendous amount of human suffering and disease. I'm going to add needless human suffering and disease. So much for the bad news. So that's the bad news part of it all. The good news is that, in fact, proven scientifically, we are not victims of our genes. We are not victims of our genes. Astonishing advances in physics and cell biology have recently toppled the philosophical underpinnings of conventional biomedicine. A radically new understanding emerging in the cutting edge of cell science recognizes that the environment, and more specifically, our perceptions of the environment, of your environment, directly controls our behavior and the activity of our genes. A radically new understanding emerging at the cutting edge of cell science recognizes that the environment, and more specifically, our perception of the environment, my perception of the environment directly controls my behavior and the activity of my genes. Wow, just new stuff that's important for me to know. Wow. Since our perceptions may be accurate or inaccurate, we may more appropriately refer to them as beliefs. Our perceptions, what we perceive, are our beliefs. Beliefs control our biology, not our genes. Beliefs control our biology, not our genes. The new advances in physics and biology lead us to a future of hope and self-determination, because that gives me the power. That gives me the power to change my perceptions of what I'm seeing in my environment. That gives me the power to change my beliefs. And so that is the good news. And in this particular book, which is called PSYCH-K, PSYCH-K, this psychologist, Robert M. Williams, has been developed a process of changing your beliefs, of getting in touch with your beliefs through muscle testing and through hypnosis, and going into helping to find what your beliefs are, going into your subconscious mind and changing those beliefs. And you can live a happy life. You can live a healthy life once you do this. That's what this show's been all about from the beginning. New Earth Lifestyles. New Earth Lifestyles is here to tell you that everything that we've been taught in the science community is not necessarily true. Because as we learn more and more and more of this science continues to be developed, we are finding new information that is now dispelling and finding the old information is obsolete and not true. Just think about way back when they said the world was flat. That's just an old, long ago belief, the world is flat. And when the belief was that everything revolves around the earth. Well, we know that's not true nowadays, too. With the power of our telescopes, we can see that everything revolves around the sun. And the same thing with genes. It was thought that genes control our behavior and our illnesses and everything about our eyes, our health. However, in the biology that's coming out now, the new deep cellular biology that's happening now, that is no longer the case. We control our genes by our perceptions of our environment. So what are you perceiving? What are you thinking? Thoughts. Thoughts are the basis of what we're thinking, what we're perceiving. So if you look at something and you say it's good, that brings up that vibration of good comes into you and it lifts you up. If you look at something and you say that's bad, bad is a lower vibration. Bad is something that brings us down and actually does affect our health. That's what this is saying. And through this PSYCH-K, I'm going to talk more about this probably at another date because there's a lot in here. We've gone through and really looked at how you can change ourselves by changing our perceptions. I know you've probably heard this before too, is the fact that if 5 people were standing at different places on a street and they saw the same automobile accident, they watched the same accident, they'd have 5 different perceptions of how that accident, what happened, whose fault it was, who did what where. There'll be 5 different perceptions that have created beliefs in those people around how this happened. That's how our lives are run, by our perceptions, by our beliefs. And that is how our physical body stays healthy or not. So just consider that. Take it home. Consider it, and let's have a little mindfulness bell on perceptions. Coming back home to your heart, coming back home to who you are. And think about the 4 agreements and how they can help you with your perceptions. How can they help you with your beliefs? Take no thing personally. Be impeccable with your word. Always do your best. And the 4th one, or another one, is don't make any assumptions. Those 4 agreements, if you were to look at them and like I did, just take one of them that you really would like to focus on paying attention to help you change your life for the better. These are about changing your life for the better, changing your life for health, for happiness, for joy, for better relationships, for being physically strong and happy and healthy and able to do what you came here to do on this planet. That's why we're here, to do whatever we came to do on this planet. And I'm realizing that I'm here, and I have come to create this television show, this New Earth Lifestyles program, to have an outlet to at least show whoever's watching, whoever you are out there, that there is hope. You are more powerful than you know. There is an opportunity for happiness. There is an opportunity for full health no matter what is happening in your life, whether it's a physical problem, an emotional problem, a mental problem, a spiritual problem, no matter what is happening in your life. Look at how you look at life. Look at your perceptions. Look at what you perceive and how that serves you. How do your thoughts serve you? How are you perceiving your life? And it's not about perceiving good or badly. It's about, is that working for me? Is the way I'm perceiving life working in my life to benefit me, or is it working against my life to not benefit me? So those are some things to think about. I hope you enjoyed the show today. 4 agreements, PSYCH-K. We talked about the prayer board. And the biggest thing is perceptions control behavior. Perceptions control our genes. Perception rewrites genes. Perception rewrites genes, and perception rewrites behavior. If you want to change your behavior, change your perceptions and beliefs. So I'm going to leave on that note. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was lovely being here. Next week, I do have a guest coming on the show, and her name is, Susan Morgan. She'll be talking about dreams, Mystic Dream Center. She has a Mystic Dream Center in New Hampshire here. Susan Morgan, you can look her up online if you want to have some questions for her next week. Until then, remember, your heart knows the way.